Hello, and welcome to our build guide for a very unusual setup that effortlessly burns down your foes. The Beira's Anguish is a unique charm that enables this entire build. Once activated, it releases a fiery nova that ignites all enemies in your presence. The charm activates when you become ignited, which can be easily achieved with the Infernalist ascendancy thanks to the grinning immolation notable. It automatically ignites you every time you land a critical strike with any of your abilities. It can be done with a fast-hitting spell such as Ball Lightning. The self-damage will be instantly cleansed by the charm, which also means you can't trigger it again while it's active. The charm's ignite is based on 500% of your maximum life. It cannot be supported by gems, but by raising your maximum life, you will raise its base damage to absurd amounts, far bypassing the capabilities of any regular spell, and you don't need to worry about gem levels or mana sustain. The Black Flame Ring causes enemies to take chaos damage from your ignite instead of the usual fire damage. The main difference is using a different curse, and you will apply Wither instead of fire exposure, although you should still scale fire damage bonuses. The monster's chaos resistance is usually much lower than elemental, and it will be extra effective against their energy shield. Thanks to the critical weakness debuff, you can scale the ignite with a critical damage bonus too. The bugged interaction was recently fixed, but you can still achieve roughly 30 to 40% critical strike chance in the end. It is not consistent, but it provides much more scaling opportunities than a non-crit variant in the long run. Fitting a reasonable amount of armor evasion or energy shield is very hard here. However, you will barely use any skills, so you can utilize your mana as a defensive buffer with the Mind over Matter keystone. Even with that, the recovery is not that great. You have to rely on a safe long-distance playstyle. It is one of the best builds for clearing. Your Fire Nova covers a great area, bypasses walls or other terrain, and you don't need to cast spells too much. Rare monsters or map bosses will melt from any ignite, but for the pinnacle bosses you will have to wait for a critical hit to deal meaningful damage. The core unique and relevant rare items are very cheap. The Alpha's Howl is a luxury upgrade that is not needed for comfortable gameplay. To get started, you need the Beira's Anguish Charm, Pragmatism Armor, and Black Flame Ring. None of them should cost more than a few exalted orbs. The Bijouborn belt can greatly reduce the timer between novas, so the extra radius from the Alpha's Howl is not that important. Beira's Anguish is the foundation of this build. It ignites nearby enemies, dealing a massive amount of damage. The fiery nova always ignites, but it doesn't deal any hit damage. The duration of this charm is effectively your cooldown time for damage and clear. The Pragmatism Armor is another core unique. It is the only way to reliably continuously use charms without charges. You should corrupt it to get an extra rune socket for even more maximum life. The Black Flame offers a massive bonus to your ignite magnitude and causes enemies to take it as chaos instead. Keep in mind it is not the same as converting fire damage to chaos damage. It also turns the ignite visual to purple color. The Bijouborn lowers the duration of your charms, which means they can be triggered faster and roll for the critical hit again. The roll range is rather large, so make sure you pick the correct one. The remaining bonuses on this belt are rather bad. Alpha's Howl massively improves your area of effect and spirit, but also requires you to get a lot of dexterity on your build. It is not mandatory, but makes the build undoubtedly more comfortable. This jewel increases your maximum life, which is a very scarce modifier. It is limited to 3 jewels, and you need all 3 of them to be effective. We recommend using a shield in the second weapon set to use the dodge roll or raise shield in dangerous situations while blink is on cooldown. It can be any shield, but the unique Alchem Era comes with the added benefit of mana recoup. Your damage is based on your maximum life, so you will want a lot of it on your gear, but you still need to cap all your resistance and attribute requirements. You can also get it from greater body runes and strength. Mana is a secondary defense layer in this build. It is useful, but it is not your main focus. The offensive modifiers should increase your fire damage, gain extra damage, and improve the ailment duration or magnitude. On your weapon, you should amass a great amount of added extra damage, as well as increases to the fire damage. Keep in mind the Fire Nova is not a spell, so modifiers to critical strike chance on your wand are not useful. The critical weakness applied by Malice is the only source of your critical strike chance, which also takes a while to stack up. The inconsistency in the damage output can be a bit annoying, but it is still the best way to scale your damage. Fortunately, it is only required against pinnacle bosses. On your rare ring, you should aim for high maximum life, lacking resistances or attributes, and possibly a bonus to fire damage. Extra mana can also be useful for better survivability. Here you can gain a massive boost to your maximum life. Other than that, you can get a bit of crit, damage bonus, attributes, or resistance. Extra spirit might also be useful if you don't have the Alpha's Howl. On a rare helmet, look for high maximum life, attributes, and resistances. The base type does not matter that much. You don't scale any type of extra defense anyway. The gloves are nearly identical to your rare helmet. You could try to get a critical damage bonus here, but it would probably make them much more expensive. On your rare boots, you will need at least 30% bonus movement speed. Other than that, this slot is also not very interesting. You will need the usual life, resistance, and attributes. The jewels offer tons of ailment magnitude or critical damage bonus. Increased duration of ailments and presence area are also useful for smoother gameplay. Lastly, we recommend at least one modifier for life and mana recovery on kill. The Ball Lightning is an ideal spell to trigger your charm. It has a high critical strike chance and fast hit rate. The damage of this skill is irrelevant. You should use a low-level gem to lower the mana costs. Ambush, pinpoint critical, and critical weakness debuff make triggering the charm very easy. The life tap or inspiration can be used to make sustain even easier. Blasphemy automatically applies linked curse skills to all nearby enemies at the cost of spirit. If you don't have enough for both of them, you should cast the offensive curse manually against bosses. With the Black Flame Ring, your ignite is taken as chaos damage. Use the Despair Curse to lower the chaos resistance of your enemies. Temporal Chains is a defensive curse that slows down affected foes and prolongs the ignite and other effects on them. If you have to use the Despair manually, you should bind it to your second weapon set and split your passives to boost the effect of your curses. One of your Ascendancy notables grants you the Infernal Hound minion. You can transfer part of the incoming damage to be taken by your pet instead. The damage of the Infernal Hound is barely noticeable. You should focus on making it more durable so it can absorb more damage from the loyalty support. The Last Gasp gives him more opportunities to take the attention of monsters, but it won't absorb the damage if it doesn't have any health left. Thanks to the mana remnants, killing or critically striking an enemy affected by ailments drops remnants that can be picked up to recover and overflow mana. The magnetism and dissipation make the remnants much stronger and easier to manage. Clarity and cannibalism provide a minor boost. Use it only if you have spirit to spare. Blink is a buff that replaces your dodge roll with a quick teleport. If you lack spirit, you can bind it to a second weapon set and use it on demand by switching weapons. The Ingenuity shortens the cooldown of your blink. If you use it only on a weapon swap, you can use the second wind instead to use 2 blinks in rapid succession. Withering Presence inflicts withering debuff to all nearby enemies, greatly increasing the chaos damage taken by enemies up to a limit. Malice is a skill granted by your scepter. Higher skill levels increase the frequency of applying new stack, allowing them to reach a higher amount. You will need to increase the effect duration with support gem and passive points to reach all 20 stacks. The charms use no charges, so only the improved flask recovery bonus makes sense to pick in the Valley of Titans quest. The stun charm currently does not prevent the initial stun, so raising the stun threshold can be quite useful. Once it is fixed, the mana regeneration will be more useful. The extra chaos resistance is usually the best choice. Attributes are usually much easier to acquire, and the slow resistance is not impactful enough. The core uniques used in this build can be equipped at level 33, at which point they will trivialize the campaign with an overwhelming amount of damage. To reach that level, you can use any generic spellcasting setup, such as Spark or Ember Fusillade. Do not spec into Ignite early on, rely on hit damage instead. You You will also need to complete the first Ascendancy trial. The final passive tree is widely spread out, as there are simply not enough useful notables in the Witch starting area. You will pick most of the Ignite, Fire, or Ailment related notables. Keep in mind, penetration does not affect damage over time, although with the Black Flame Ring, it wouldn't matter here anyway. Chaos damage bonuses do not benefit you either, but you can increase the effect of Wither debuff, or add extra chaos damage. The Infernalist Ascendancy grants you a 50% more critical damage bonus, which prompts you to scale critical strikes even more. Due to the recent bug fix, the build requires more investments into critical strike chance and is less consistent, but it is still one of the most fun builds you can make in Dawn of the Hunt League. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.